All right. So the first task for me of my day is underway. We are recording the meeting, which will give you all, and then, as semesters progress, we'll give every, new instructors, whoever joins, a chance to watch this as well, just as we kind of run over basic features of the mastering and kind of get rolling. I've scheduled about 2 hours here. I do not expect it to take that long. There we go. I do not expect it to take that long, but at the same time, I do want to keep it very open to everyone as far as questions go. So please jump in if you have a question, stop me. I don't want you to feel like, I'm giving this big presentation and you can't interrupt. So please interrupt, ask me. And, if it's something that we'll talk about later, I'll let you know, or if we need to go one-on-one, we can do that as well. But yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Should we be logged into our Mastering Chemistry accounts?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to kind of walk along with me, you're more than welcome to do that. I think I had set up like a demo course in everyone's account for the most part after that meeting back in January. So you should still have access to that. But I will have everything on the screen, and I can, and then we can kind of loop back when we're done. And make sure everything's set up for you as well. But if you find that helpful, you're more than welcome to. Yeah, so first I'll kind of just go over everything that I want to talk about today. If there sounds like something's missing, make sure to let me know, but this is kind of where we're going to go. So we're going to get into the mastering, start out with just basic navigation, kind of where to find the assignments or where to find, if you want to have a discussion board, just basic things like that. I'll jump into eText really quickly. Our eText has all the features of most eText, but I will make sure to highlight a few of those because I know over the past few years, a lot of eTexts have had kind of new features released that even I wasn't aware of. We'll talk about how to create assignments, and that is probably where we'll spend a huge majority of our time because there's such a variety of the assignment types we have and also how instructors use those. After that, I'll show you where the instructor resources are. What you can find in there, how to navigate that page. We have a couple other features. One is our dynamic study modules and the learning catalytics, which is like our clicker questions. And so we'll kind of take a look at both those. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do an integration of mastering into Canvas. So if you're interested in having your mastering course linked up to Canvas, we'll do that. And this group particularly, this course particularly, there is going to be an important piece there at the end, and we're going to talk about how to get your custom course. The book you're using, the mastering you're using, is exactly the same as our national Brown LeMay book that everyone uses, except for the price to students. The price to your students is going to be significantly cheaper, and so in order to do that, we had to create a custom course for you all. And I'll make sure to discuss how to get that and make sure we have it set up correctly as well.
Hi, Corey.
Before we get rolling.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Please, please.
Okay, so if a student has access to a textbook, so I'm talking specifically about my Chem 131 course, but it's the same kind of question. If they have access to a textbook from a previous student from a previous year, they still pretty much have to pay that full price because it's the homework that's tied to that ebook, right? The ebook is essentially free with the homework.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, specifically to the other courses, there are options to purchase like the mastering alone without the eText. But in this case, and I can check the prices. If you do have students emailing about that, let me know. I can check the prices. My guess would be this custom price is going to be cheaper with the eText than they can purchase without the eText. Okay. But if you have students asking, please let me know. I can walk them through the options.
Like I said, this was for 131, and so far it's just one email. And I basically told her that you're getting the ebook for free because I assumed that that price was already pretty low.
Yep, exactly. Perfect. Okay, does anybody have anything for me before we get going? All right, and I guess before we jump in, I should do one more thing. If you have the participants open, you'll see a handful of names you don't recognize. One is on screen is David Berg. He works on my team as a digital specialist, digital solution specialist. He is kind of my go-to person for all questions that you're going to have for me that I can't answer. And so he's one level of support that we have. You'll probably work with him. Another person is Jen Donnelly. She's on this call as well. She works as a customer success advocate. She is an instructor-only resource and is going to be a really good person for you to know. You know, if you have any odd questions for me about assignments, like how to pool questions in an assignment, I usually get a little lost, and she's an expert at all of the tough stuff. So she'll be a good resource as well. And then my manager, you may not interact with her, but her name's Sarah Fournier. She's on here kind of just as a level of support for me, and also just to make sure things are going smoothly for you guys, because I know this is a big change for everyone with the new book and a new book in an old pandemic, I guess, or, you know, we're kind of veterans at this, it feels like now after, you know, 3 semesters of it, but we're here for you, I guess, is kind of the short of it all. I need to share my screen, so I'm going to do that. Screen 2, and so there we go. So let me go back to my course home. I was kind of playing around with this. So after you've integrated your course, the first thing you see when you sign into Mastering is this course home page. There are a handful of different ways to navigate to any individual piece, like any different resource. I'll show you where I like to go, but you may find your own ways, and that's fine too. My best example for this is for an assignment. You can create an assignment here. You can go to your all assignments and create an assignment. You can create an assignment from the calendar, or you can go into your instructor tools and create an assignment. There are other examples of that too, but you know, just kind of know that it does seem to be, there's a lot of different ways to navigate to different elements. So there's that. So course home's here. Once you begin loading in your assignments, if you want to schedule readings for students, if you want reading quizzes or summative assessments later, all of that will appear here and on the student's calendar. Their view of this is going to look very similar to what you're seeing. You have like a performance window right here, and that's where you're going to see average scores for your class, and then you can also dig in for assignment scores, individual student scores. If you're tying things to learning outcomes, you can see how students are doing on individual learning outcomes. You can load your syllabus into here. Scores is another way to go to the performance tab, so you can see how your students are doing. I'm going to continue through this menu, but one thing I like to do is I do like to load the e-text when I first get in there. It loads the full e-text, so it takes about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. And so if you are signing in here and you're going to go into the assignment, load the e-text first if you think you might have to go in there. That's just kind of like one of those little pro tips I have. There's been a lot of talk about students being able to purchase the discounted loose leaf. I've had instructors asking me about that. They'll do that from this e-text tab as well. They can purchase a discounted loose leaf shipped to their house. You can upload documents here as well. We have a document sharing tab. You can go in and adjust user settings for yourself. We have course tools in here, and I'll open these up real quick and show you. So you can email or have discussion boards from here. Most folks prefer to use Canvas, but those are available to you. And if you hate it there and don't want it there because it's confusing, we can adjust this navigation bar to each instructor personally. So if you know, Gary wants to have the e-text on top and hide the scores menu, we can do that. And if Rick wants the scores on top and the course tools gone, we can do that. It's pretty easy to do. Instructor resources are here. I'll select that. And we'll dive into this a little bit later, but I'm going to do the same thing I do with the e-text. Anything outside of Mastering, I just get loaded right away so I can get into it quicker later. Again, not something you have to do, but something I do like to do because I'm so impatient. And then this last tab is the last menu option is the instructor tools. And so that is yet another way to get to the assignments in the grade book. If you want to set up student groups, you can do that. And then we have an item library as well for like assets from the book. I'm going to go back in that main menu. Next thing we're gonna jump into is e-text. Before we do that, I'll probably say this quite a few times, so apologies. Everything that you do in this course, whether it's adjust the navigation menu over here, make highlights in the e-text, your assignments, all of that can be copied semester to semester. So that's just something to keep in mind. I know that's a common feature for most platforms like this and a common feature for your Canvas, but just know any work you put into this semester can be easily copied over for each subsequent semester. All right, so next thing we'll jump into is the Pearson eText. Again, I'll go kind of quickly through this. So if you have questions, let me know, just jump in or yeah. So the eText is very similar to other eTexts. You and students both have all of these features I'm about to name. One is you can search content. So if you want to find, I was looking at, last thing I searched was we have these give it some thought activities. You can do that. You can search, if you want to search alcohols, you can search alcohols. If you want to find a page number, you can find a page number. Close out of that. You can bookmark specific pages, and those will appear in a bookmark menu later. We have really nice display settings. Kind of helps everyone, but especially for folks that have accessibility needs, this is helpful, something that people do ask about. I'm going to open up this hamburger menu, and this is the table of contents. So I'm going to jump into one of the chapters, the periodic table. That's probably about where my chemistry knowledge ends. But that's okay. You guys have the chemistry knowledge. I have the mastering knowledge. All of the figures from the book, animations, videos, all available in here. This is one of those features that folks are kind of really seem to like, but is available in most e-text. So look for this other places as well. It's a cool one. You and students can both highlight. So students have these different colors that they want to highlight. Green for hard to remember stuff, pink for exam questions, and yellow for glossary terms or whatever they need to do. So they can highlight just like you can. You have a really nice feature that I've seen a lot of instructors incorporating starting in the spring and now in the fall, because so many students are in the e-text now, whereas before it was kind of a mixed bag. But if you click this icon here that has the two people, what it does is it shares out that highlight to every student enrolled in your course. So every student, when they log in, when they're reading chapter 2 and they're on page 55, they have this highlight. Oh, I clicked the link on accident. They have this highlight appear with this icon showing that it came from you. So they're going to log in and they're going to say, oh, Professor Jesser really wants me to know, this line. Another option that you and students both have is you can put notes in here. So you can say, remember for quiz, and down here it's already shared with students. Students can also put those notes in there as well for themselves. Like, Professor Page said that these 3 reactive metals are, so important later. They can add in those notes for themselves. I'm going to open up our menu again. And so the first tab is your table of contents. The second tab is going to be, it's going to be everything you've bookmarked or everything that the students have bookmarked, each user has bookmarked. It's also going to have some recently visited places. So if you've been studying for an exam, you can kind of jump around a little bit better. We have a notebook down here, and this is where all of the notes and highlights that students have done are going to appear for themselves. And also any notes and highlights that you shared with them will also appear. You can also highlight, and as long as you don't share, you'll have your own highlights and notes here. And then again, this can be copied semester to semester if you want. So if every semester you have 25 highlights you like sharing with students, you can do that each semester. So it's a nice study feature for students. And then the last tab down here is just another way for students to help study. So these are flashcards, matching activity, and then like a quizzing feature. And I'll open these up. And so these cover all of those glossary terms for the chapter. So they can kind of use that to practice. I know I'm going kind of quick on this, and that's mostly just because these are hopefully features you've seen or can, relate to really easily. I'll pause. Are there any questions for me about the e-text in general, or usage, or how students are going to use it, that sort of thing?
Will all students have access to the e-text? Is it possible to have access to just Mastering Chemistry without having access to the ebook, or that's impossible?
I can double check this question, but I think and it's kind of hard because specifically for this custom course that we're using here, I think students' only option is to purchase the Mastering and the e-text.
Yes.
And the reason for that is just because the price is so much lower than our national price. And if you kind of remember back to January, Miami had started that Miami U-Books program, which we had promised you all, you could take advantage of, and then the program ended up kind of being discontinued due to the pandemic and some other reasons, but mostly due to the pandemic. And so we honored that price. And so for students, the price is so low, I think that they'll all have the e-text for sure.
Okay.
All right. And I said that was hard. It's hard to answer because for every other book, and every other, MyLab or Mastering they're using in Miami, that may not be true. They may prefer a hard copy of the book, and then just have like the Mastering standalone without the e-text. But for your course, I don't think that's going to be the case.
Corey, can you go over with the instructors how the students go about purchasing a loose leaf again?
Yeah, absolutely. Here. So I'm going to go back to the course homepage. When students sign in, their course homepage is going to look very similar to yours. Obviously, they won't have a class average. They won't have some of the things you see. And specifically, each of these links through here that have the icon with the person with the line through it means it's hidden from students. So students are going to have the course home link all the way through course tools. But to answer the question, they'll go to e-text. And when they launch the e-text, they're going to have a second option down here for if they want a loose leaf copy of the book. And so they'll click that. There are a couple things I'm going to, oh, sorry.
Okay, so will you add, because I already generated a course for my class, and let me see if I see that option. Purchase, yes, I do. So you already added it somehow, so it's connected to my name. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And then if you have loaded a course, we will actually need to go back. We'll need to separate that from Canvas if you've already done that and create a new course. And we can copy everything you've worked on in there. But we want to make sure students have access to that, the custom pricing.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll talk about that more towards the end when we get into integration. After this meeting, I'll email out the link to YouTube. And there's a couple things I'll probably mention through here. One of them is we have 2 apps that are free to students, with their subscription. One of them is the Pearson e-text app. And what that is that's an app that can be downloaded on your phone or tablet. And it gives students the ability to highlight and take notes and do all of that on their tablet, but it also gives them the ability to download the chapters offline. That's something I'll mention to you, and I would recommend maybe we'll figure out there's a way to send that to students. And it might be especially important this semester if students do plan on taking this course remotely and at their homes or wherever they're located. If they don't have reliable internet, that's going to be a really nice feature. And so again, there are 2 apps that are free to students. I'll mention them throughout, but I'll make sure to email again when I follow up after this meeting, just to remind you what those are, because I think students will, I can't say all students are going to like it, but I think a lot of your students will enjoy having that access and just kind of the convenience there. Okay. All right. So that's kind of about it for the e-text. Go back to the course home. And so the next thing we're going to jump into is assignments. And it's going to be it's a very broad term because assignments are going to include anything from, a 0-point practice assignment you want to give them, extra credit assignments, scheduled readings, there are videos, animations, there's so much in here. So it's kind of that umbrella term for all of that, quizzes, tests, exams. That's kind of where everything's stored in here. So I'm going to start by creating an assignment. There's a bunch of different ways you can create the assignments. You can start from scratch, and that's what I'm going to show you right now, is how to go from scratch. You can copy assignments from one of your courses. You and your colleagues can also share assignments back and forth. So if one instructor has set up a bunch of really good reading quizzes, you can share that. Or if one of the instructors on this call set up a good exam that you want to kind of borrow, you can bring that into your course as well. We have pre-built assignments as well, and I'm going to kind of show you some of the options for that. So I'm going to choose my book. And so sometimes this is a good place to start when you don't know where to start. We have our best of homework. And so one of the authors went through and pulled all of the assignments that he uses in class. And so you can select these, create an assignment. You can go through and edit those as well. We have our pre-built assignments for semesters 1 and semesters 2. We have the other half of the best of homework that I'm showing right now. We have the semester 1 best of homework, and we have the semester 2 best of homework. We also have some ready to go teaching modules, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit more when we see the instructor resources, but it's just another option if you aren't sure of where to start, or you kind of want something to start. That's a good place to start as well. We also have dynamic study modules. If you aren't sure of if you just want to have just like multiple choice quizzes every week and kind of keep it a little more on the the basic side of an assignment, you can do that. And if you want to start looking at something that's a little bit more, these dynamic study modules are a really good place to start. And I'll show you these more in depth. Maybe I'll assign one and we'll pull it open, but it's kind of a reading quiz, but it's a lot better than that, because students go through and they will take their quiz. They'll take the dynamic study module based on their skills. So they may be going through and reading about alcohols and phenols, and they'll take their quiz on that. And then the dynamic study modules kind of chunk all of that information into 8 question sets of 8 questions. And I'll show you what those look like, but a lot of instructors do assign these, and probably what I'm saying is going to make more sense when you can see it. A lot of these instructors will assign these, and you can assign them as a zero credit practice. I have some instructors that work in A&P that will do a 1 point extra credit point for each of these, and they'll kind of replace a participation grade. And then some instructors will use them as credit as like a reading quiz to kind of just based on skills, or they'll use it as a participation grade. Again, that'll make more sense when we jump into one and I show you. But that's just kind of some background, because I know that usually when I show people the dynamic study modules, the questions are, do I have to give these for points? Can I do these for extra credit? It's all those questions. So I kind of went backwards for you. And then you can also do scheduled readings as well. So if you want that to appear on your student's calendar to show chapter 1 needs to be read on August 28th, chapter 2 needs to be read by the 4th or whatever, you can have that appear to them, and and they don't have to, it's not gonna, it'll just help them keep organized, I guess. So let me create a new assignment from scratch, and we'll kind of dig into those.
While you're loading that up, Corey, I'll add one thing for the assigned readings. If you assign them, they don't count for points. Like Corey said, they just kind of show up on the calendar as a reminder for students. But you as the instructor, there is kind of an analytics dashboard that you get to see for students that are using the e-text, kind of how much time they were engaged and what particular sections of it they were engaged with for a longer time. So if someone's given you, not that students would ever do this, but if they said that, I studied hard, I read the chapter 4 times, in my ebook, and you can come in and take a look just to make sure that they're studying effectively, I'd say.
Yeah, thanks Dave. That's a nice feature for sure. All right, so let's put in demo. For a long time, I'd always put my assignment titles in as test, you know, like it's like I'm testing out this assignment. But then one time when I logged in there, or someone had copied my assignment. They were like, "What are all these tests in here?" I was like, "Oh man, wasn't thinking." So they're now demos. So this is all of our assignment items here. You can sort by chapter. So I'll start with my level of chemistry, chapter 2. I'm gonna clear up my selected filters, and I'll make sure I mention that again because that is something I do often. And then, so down here is your filters for all of these assignments. In chapter 2, we have 464 items. So it's going to be tough to kind of go through and look at all of them. So you may want to, you know, kind of decide on what you want this first assignment to look like for students. So you can have just like the, you know, basic multiple choice test bank questions. You can have like a reading quiz where, you know, multiple choice fill in the blank reading quiz. We have like coaching activities, which are a little bit longer activities, you know, might take a half hour or so to get through. So you can sort by item type. You can sort by answer type. So if you want to make sure, hey, no matter what, I know each of these reading quizzes each week, I do not want to have to grade them. I want them to be auto-graded, and I don't want to have to worry about it because I'm just trying to figure out if the kids read or the students read. And I just want the multiple choice questions. So you can click on that. Oh, I'm losing it. So here we go. So you can select that. Special features. Oh, my Zoom's slowing me down a little bit. Let's see. I'm not sure my special features aren't popping up. I'll explain them really quickly while I'm hoping it's just loading. But special features are, so if you want, we have like the animations and video quizzes. One of the authors on this series also put in, he has, and I can't remember the name, of course, right now, but he has like the pause and answer videos that are available in here. So he'll do a lab experiment on the video, and you know, right before he does it, he says, okay, what do you think is going to happen? The video pauses, multiple choice questions pop up, and then and so students can answer. So it's a quiz, but you can also make sure they're paying attention. Let me try a different chapter. If not, I'm going to refresh my page. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Sorry, I do want to go back to chapter 2. I want to see if there was something I was doing wrong or if there's an issue in here. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. So apologies for that. I think I don't know if I've been logged into this mastering course since like noon today, kind of playing around. So you can, you know, so special features have like the math review. You can do pre-lecture, like post-reading questions. We have simulations, and then I'll pull up some simulations, videos, and animations. I'm going to pull up the videos and animations because now I'm mad at myself. Oh, it's pause and predict for those video quizzes I mentioned. So those features are in here as well. You know, I know that, you know, instructors will like to say, you know, I want to make sure my students are watching the videos from the book, but how do I know? And so one way to do that is you could just assign the animations or videos to make sure that they're answering those. I'm going to go back through and I'm going to kind of build up an assignment for us. And so you know, for this assignment, I don't really want any simulations or videos and animations in here. I kind of want to just go to like the test bank. So when you open this up, you're going to see that it's only offering, it's not offering the questions I need right here. So what you want to make sure is you want to make sure to turn off those filters, and those filters stay on, you know, they'll stay on the next time I log in here as well. So that pretty much causes me issues every time I get into a mastering course from, you know, whatever I loaded before. All right, I'm going to reload my page. Oh. As it always happens, I've been in here all morning without any issues, and then when I'm trying to explain something, it all seems to go wrong. All right. So I'm chapter 2, and then my item type. I think I might just pull a couple test bank questions in. Okay. All right. So there are a couple icons I want to make sure that you're aware of as we're looking through these. One is we have this looks like a little iPhone. That means that the question on here is able to be worked on a mobile device. So if that's something that's important to you, or you know that students are accessing that way, you can focus on grabbing those questions, or I guess just be aware of it. We also have this icon, which I always thought was a matrix, but I realized very recently that it's actually a die, like a single dice. It's a die. And that means that you can randomize the variables in there. So there are fields in there that can be randomized, which may not be important for a homework assignment, but if you do want to do quizzes or tests, or if you have, students kind of, are, that you want them working together, you can always randomize the variables on there as well. There we go. All right. So I'll pull in a handful of these just so we can create an assignment. I'm going to close our featured items. There we go. And so I want to make sure I'm not having to grade any of this. I'll make sure these, and I'm kind of looking through that these are multiple choice and bimodal, and then I'm going to grab a couple where I can randomize the variables to make sure my students aren't working together too closely. I'll save and continue. On that next page is where you can decide whether the questions that you had selected for randomizing variables, if those variables are randomized, you can turn that off as well. You can set it up on your questions that, if you want them to do question 2 before question 3, you can set that up as well here. Change the point values. If, for example, if you only want this to be a 5-question quiz, and you chose 8 questions, and you want, these 4 to be pooled together, meaning that those questions, each student will get one of those 4 questions, and then all students will get the last 4. You can pool those questions as well. And then you can randomize the sequence of the quiz. Let me save and continue. Here's another nice option. We have learning outcomes that are already assigned to each question type. But if later on, as you, as this course kind of evolves over the years, if you decide that you want to have like some sort of common assessment, or if you want to, compare different learning outcomes between sections, that is something that you as instructors can do. You can create your own learning outcomes and then tie questions to that. And if you're not using them, you can just skip this step as well. And then the last question after you've kind of built this out is you'll select the due date. So I'll have this due on Friday. Availability to students will automatically populate the opening date a week ahead of time and the closing date for when this course ends. So I had set this up to end in 2022, so that's why that date's showing up. Another feature for mastering is we can have adaptive follow-ups. So if you want students, change this. So if we want any student that scores below a 70% to have a follow-up like quiz assignment afterwards, you can set that up in here as well. So that's another nice feature. If you have questions about that, I can help. But it's nice. You can change that test out, so like that testing threshold, change the number of points. You can, for the most part, you can even predict how long those adaptive follow-ups are. We assign them in question sets, and if you'll notice right here, it says each question set takes approximately 15 minutes. So if you want, you can just assign all students that score below a 70 to do a 15-minute follow-up assignment afterwards. And that's something you can do, and then that gets auto-scheduled 2 days after the due date of the assignment.
Real quick, Corey, while you're on that, the adaptive follow-up piece, what's nice about this is that it's a quick way to personalize the learning for each student. If I get a 70 and Corey gets a 70, odds are we probably missed different things on that assignment. So that follow-up assignment we have is going to be different for each of us. Mine's going to be focused on whatever concepts I missed, and Corey's going to be focused on the parts of an atom or something like that. Sorry, Corey, I didn't mean to pick on you.
But
the idea,
practice.
The questions are mapped with, with prerequisite students should know it in order to understand those concepts. So it takes them back a level and kind of helps build their skills up in a way that's kind of short and manageable rather than overwhelming them with too much.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Please.
How will this affect the score of an assignment? If student takes this follow-up adaptive quiz, will this change the original score? How is this done?
You want me to take that, Corey?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So the scores for the original assignment and then for the adaptive follow-up are two separate scores. So for students that do well, let's say for this example here, we have our 80% is our test out threshold. Students that get above that 80%, they'll automatically get whatever credit you give to this follow-up assignment automatically. And then the students that fall below that 80%, they'll then have to do the assignment to actually get that follow-up assignment credit. But as far as how it's scored, it's two separate distinct columns in the gradebook.
So I should assign this follow-up adaptive quiz earlier. How many points that is worth?
Yes. So when you build this original assignment, this is that last step. Then is adding the adaptive follow-up. Here's where you'll assign how many points you'll make it for. And honestly, the way I see most instructors use it is for minimal points. That way, those students who test out, they're not like getting a great big advantage by getting it automatic 100%. But it's enough of an incentive for students that struggled to actually do and work on that follow-up to help, hit those gaps where they're missing out.
Mm-hmm.
Did that help answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm.
All right. And even just added, I have seen a handful of professors just use it as practice as well. Keep the threshold high, at 90%. And just leave it as practice, just to let students who, every student will have it available to them to practice the areas that they struggled on. It's nice that it's customizable depending on each of your different views of how you want to use that. And so I've kind of built this, and you can, and I should have mentioned this while we were in that the item list, but you can open up the questions there to see, to see what they are. But most instructors I've worked with prefer to kind of build it out first and then come back in, review it later, because as you go through each of these questions, you may want to edit a question, or you may, lots of instructors will try to build a 10-question quiz. So they'll throw 15 in here from a variety of sections or a variety of areas, and then they'll go back in and, eliminate 5 of them. And so, but again, depending on how you work is kind of depend on how you work, I guess. So this drop down up here, you can have the standard view. So as students are going to see it, what they're going to come across with this question. You have a solution view, which is where I see most instructors working. When they use this, they go through and make sure they like the wording of the answer and it's correct. And then we also have an option to copy and edit the item. So if you, I wish I had a really good example of how I could change this to make it true, but I was a middle school math teacher and I haven't taken chemistry in a very long time, but if you wanted to change the ratio or change the molecule or, whatever it was, you could do that here as well. If you like the base of the question, but just want to change it a little bit. And then of course you can also just create your own questions if you want as well. All right. So I kind of went through a lot of the assignments pretty quickly. I do still want to go back and show you some of the dynamic study modules, But for right now, are there any assignments that you really want to see? Is there anything that you'd like to learn more about?
So there is this original assignment. Let me see how you call it. Introduction to Mastering Chemistry. Should we assign this? Is it recommended?
Yeah, okay, so good question. So I'm going to go back to that all assignments. So in all of your courses, you're going to see this Introduction to Mastering Chemistry assigned, and that I would definitely recommend assigning that to students. And the biggest reason that I see, and part of this is being a former math teacher, is that every like math e-text editor is a little bit differently, just how those text fields are manipulated and how to enter things in. And so for the very least, just so that they can, make sure they know how to enter in answers before their first quiz, I'd assign that. But it also walks through some of the other features of Mastering Chemistry. You can, from this menu, you can preview this assignment. If you do, I'll look at it really quickly, but you may want to look at it a little more in depth. I worked with somebody just the other day about this significant figures as well, and so it was one of the UC courses, but they really liked Mastering Chemistry because it covered sig figs, which their students had been having trouble with. So you can look through these though. This is one of the items, and this kind of just goes through and just helps them learn how to insert a chemical formula or equation. Another preloaded assignment we have in here is our chemistry primer. That's another one that folks really seem to like, is they like having this chemistry primer in there. And the reason why is for students who haven't taken chemistry in a long time, or may not be up to date on their skills. It's going to be really beneficial for them to kind of start there before they have to start doing homework and quizzes and et cetera. And the reason why people like it is that also because students who are up to date on their chemistry knowledge and are comfortable and proficient are going to breeze right through that chemistry primer really quickly. And so it'll kind of be an easy assignment to get started on. That's definitely something I like to mention as well.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so which one should go first, the primer or the introduction?
I would say probably the introduction
first, and then the primer.
Right.
Yeah,
and you can.
And for both.
Go ahead, Corey. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, for both of these assignments, I have seen instructors assign both of these before the semester even starts. And so, they might assign it on the 14th and say, hey, by the time you come into class on Monday, I expect you to have completed these two things. And one reason why they can do this with mastering is that every one of your students are going to have an option to have a 14-day free trial when they first sign into mastering. And so you can have students begin an assignment ahead of time because they don't have to have gone to the bookstore. They don't have to have purchased it online. They don't have, if they don't have money on the first day of class to purchase books, they can get in there and they can do that without making any payment, which is nice and gives you a little flexibility to not have to take your first day of class to introduce them to mastering. They can have that done ahead of time.
The other thing I was going to mention with that, Corey, is for the introduction assignment or this chemistry primer, they're already pre-built in there, but you can still go in and edit and remove things out. Like, for example, with our the introduction to mastering chemistry, one of them is kind of learning how to draw structures. And a lot of times instructors pull that one out until a chapter later on where they're actually doing it. So it's actually relevant to when they're getting ready to start that. And same thing with the chem primer. There may be areas where students struggle and others that that they're good. So you can edit that and kind of just whittle it down to the things that are most essential for your students to see.
That's good. Are there any questions about the assignments? Or I know I didn't really get too much into some of the other assignment types of videos, animations, and coaching activities.
So I'm actually copying one of those pre-built assignments. How long does it usually take to copy it?
For the pre-built assignments, I think that they should just copy right in. Let me Might double check that. So copy pre-built assignments.
So I'm copying that
Yeah,
introduction, and it shows me.
Are
Yeah,
you? Okay. Oh, sorry. We have assignments that are called pre-built assignments.
So this is what I clicked on, and it took a while to load, but eventually it did. I see. Oh,
Okay. Let me see. Let me so copy the assignment. Yeah, I'm not sure. Mine copied immediately. We is this Mark? Can you see my screen?
let me see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
see.
did you just go to the assignment and hit copy assignment?
I clicked on assignment, and then it showed me. So I clicked on this linked part, the one with introduction, so the bluish one, and then it tried to copy something. So let me go back. Oops. Well, I'll figure it out. So don't worry about me.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. If it is taking, yeah, if you're just copying an assignment, it should be pretty immediate. So if you're having issues, let me know. Yeah. All right. So let me see. Kind of look at my own itinerary.
Hey, real quick, Corey, while we're here on that. Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
Can you go back to the all assignments page?
Yeah.
Thank you. So you'll notice here we have all the assignments that Corey's had created in here, including that adaptive follow-up one. For that 810 assignment, it shows up a little separately there. If you can click that calendar icon, Corey.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I always like to show this part too, just so, real quick, you can adjust things. So once you have a due date, it'll show up on your calendar here on the right-hand side. And you'll see that demo assignment or demo 810 that Corey just created is on Friday the 14th. And then the adaptive follow-up then is 2 days after on the 16th. One nice thing, if for some chance you're running behind, classes go wonky, whatever it may be, if you need to adjust the due dates, you can actually just drag and drop them on the calendar here and it'll automatically update them, including the adaptive follow-up for it to go 2 days behind it. So just something nice to keep in mind. You don't have to kind of go through all the hoops of everything to change an assignment date. You can do it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that too. I had forgotten to mention this. I don't know, I can't say this with 100% certainty, but I do know when I work with instructors in their mastering, most of them, as they're building their courses, do seem to use this calendar view over the list view. Yeah, I don't know. So, you may want to take a look at that, but yeah, I don't know. For me, I like the list a lot. The calendar view doesn't help me as much, but so I don't want to, I want to be blind to my own bias for y'all. All right, I'm gonna go back to the course home. I kind of shown those dynamic study modules as the assignments. The reason why I kind of saved them is they're different than all of our other assignments. But also I wanted to show you the student view of it. As an instructor, you can go through and edit the questions and remove questions out of here. But so for the students, when it's assigned, it'll just show up as an assignment and they'll jump right into this next screen. But I wanted to navigate to one of those to pull them up. So the reason why I think students like this so much and the reason why instructors seem to assign them so often is because of the way that the learning is presented to them. So students will go through, as I mentioned, we have a whole set of dynamic study modules questions in here. We'll go through 8 at a time. Students will answer based on their confidence. So if they don't know what an answer is, they can select 2 answers. If they're certain of an answer, they can put that in. And for me, it says, you were sure and correct. I'll go on to the next question. What I want to point out, though, is that when you don't know the answer, you aren't given the answer immediately. So this is different in that instead of getting that immediate feedback for students, it holds the feedback for them to focus on that learning aspect. So I'm going to go through. I want to get to that 8th question. And so that's 4. And so students will go through this. So just let them know at the time you were right or you were wrong. Once they finished that eighth question, I kind of went quickly there, but instead of saying go on to the next question, it said, now let's go learn. And so they go back through, and any question they got right is thrown out, and they go back and review the 6 that they missed or the ones that they weren't 100% confident on. And so it gives them the question, their answer, the correct answer, and then information so that they can stop here, look at the content and figure out, why did I miss this question? Why did I think it was 508? Why was it 28.2? And they can take that time to go through and review all of those and pause, look at the content, figure out why they were wrong. And then all of these questions they were wrong that were answered incorrectly are thrown back into the bunch for them to answer again. One big thing with these, and I kind of talked about the different nature of scoring that some instructors use on this, as far as extra credit or low credit assignments. If students do poorly, their consequence for doing poorly is that this quiz is going to take longer and longer and longer for them. Most of these quizzes take between 20 minutes and 40 minutes for most students. If they do poorly, it could take an hour. Or more, I guess, theoretically. But so most instructors do assign this as a low stakes assignment because a huge majority of your students are going to score 100% on these. Lots of these students are going to take the time, figure it out, and they're going to get 100%. So you don't want to have too many points assigned to these, because their consequence was the amount of time they spent. I've worked with instructors that will assign these as a practice, and then they'll go through at the end of the semester and say, hey, if you, as long as you completed all of these over the semester, I'll give you 50 participation points as like a reading quiz, or 50 points for participating. Some instructors will assign them as 1 point each. So if students don't do them, they won't kill their grade. I've also worked with a lot of instructors who will assign it as an extra credit assignment. So it's, definitely different than any of our assignments, but at the same time, I think that they definitely hold a lot of value to students. And then this is also one of the other apps that we have as well. So if students have the free app for this, these dynamic study modules are always available to them, whether you assign them or not. So they can always just download the app and go through and, if they say, hey, I really need to practice my energy, heat, temperature knowledge, they can go through and practice that on their own. So I really like these. I know that, it usually is kind of when instructors want to start exploring some of the extra stuff we have. This is an easy place to start. Are there any questions about these?
No.
Corey, the only thing I'll add to that is most time I see instructors use these as kind of that pre-lecture or in replacement of assigning reading questions. They were finding that they assigned them 5 reading questions. The students just go to that part of the book and answer that one single question. They're not reading the chapter. They're just finding those 5 answers. Again, I taught middle school like Corey did. So I always think of it a way as tricking students into reading the book without them knowing it. So they're working through here, they miss it. It brings them the content from the book to help explain what they missed. So they're going to get through that, base level kind of level 1, Bloom's taxonomy, just by doing these, so that when you see them in class, you're able to actually have discussions or go a little bit deeper into the knowledge, because everybody's at kind of that level playing field of where they should be in the chapter.
Yeah, one reason I do like to mention these as well is just that students always have access to them. So sometimes it might just be something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. And if a student, comes to you every day and says, I just can't, the reading is too hard for me, I just can't seem to keep up, you may just say, hey, try the dynamic study modules on your own, see if they help. And so that's another, I don't want to talk you into using them if you don't like them or anything, but it is nice just to know that they're there and available to the students anyways. It might just be something to kind of, keep in your backpack as students come to you for help. So we'll close out of those. one of the other elements that we have in here that it's kind of begun taking a bigger and bigger role now that we are teaching remotely, and the pandemic. We have all these different course styles, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous or the hybrid. But we have the learning catalytics, and I'll click on them in a moment. Sorry, I'm kind of talking about them. What they are is they are the student response tool. So a lot of times students just refer to them as like the clicker questions. We have those already built in here. We have a bunch of questions built from each chapter of the Brown LeMay book. You can also build your own, but we've seen a lot of instructors begin adding these in synchronous classes. And one thing I will say, I'm not going to dig in too much. I actually probably won't even go too much further than just clicking that now that I think about it, because it is kind of just a discussion on its own. There's just so much in here, and I kind of want to be respectful of those who are running out of time today and kind of get to the integration. But the learning catalytics are awesome. They are a free response tool. I think that there's going to be a lot of instructors that in this group that may be interested in using them. If that is you, if you're an instructor that's interested in using them, let me know. I'd be happy to schedule some time with you later this week, or if there are more people that are interested, we could schedule like a learning catalytics only workshop with this group of instructors if you're interested. Yeah. Oh, I know. Another thing I'll mention too is on Wednesday morning, I'm meeting with the biology department at Miami, and we're having a learning catalytics workshop. So if you're interested in kind of maybe just being a fly on the wall, let me know and I can send you that invitation, and you're more than welcome to join. Their learning catalytics is basically the same for everyone. Ours will, that presentation on Wednesday will kind of cover their book. But all the basic features are the same between biology, chemistry, physics, all of our learning catalytics features are similar. But are there any questions about these as far as just like how they get used? Some instructors ask me, can they use their phone? Yes. But are there any questions about that? Okay. All right. Perfect. They're very customizable to each instructor as well. I think the next thing we want to do is I want to kind of talk about this custom course that I keep talking about, and then get into the integration, and then we'll kind of, for the most part, be done. David, is there anything I'm missing from mastering that you think I should have talked about?
Can I ask something?
Please, yeah.
Can you show how to copy an assignment from, let's say, one section to a different section?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. From like one mastering course to a new mastering course?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, let me pull this over real quick. So this is a link I'm going to be sending out to all of you of just how to get that new course. And then right now we're going to link the courses into Canvas. And Mark, I think once we get everything set up for you, I can show you how to copy the assignments in. Does that work?
Okay.
Or
yep.
Copy the assignments from your previous course into this new, I keep using the quotes, but this new custom course. So I'll email these instructions out for everyone. But basically it's going to walk you through how to create a course. The reason why I didn't email them out ahead of time is most instructors like to integrate their courses into Canvas. And so if you had created this course, you would have had to create another one. And so, so I figured we'd be doing that right now anyways. But I'll email these out just kind of as a reminder. The important thing, and feel free to jot this down if you want, but the ISBN is how you're going to identify the custom pricing. And the ISBN I've highlighted there. Actually, I'm gonna write it down too, because I know I'm gonna be looking at this in a moment.
I just added it to the chat as well. So in case you don't get it right now, it's there.
Okay.
And just, while we're getting ready to go there, kind of like Corey said, this is kind of an introduction just to help you guys kind of get off and running here. But as you start to take a look at the items that are available to assign, if you have a question between, what's the difference between this tutorial and this video, and, you start getting into that, let us know. We're here to help you. This is kind of just that first step to start going at it. But once you get in there, you'll see there's quite a bit you can choose from. So just think of this kind of that first step to getting it started.
Yeah, and we kind of covered everything. And I mean, there's so many different assignment types, and I can't imagine any case where an instructor would use learning catalytics, dynamic study modules, reading quizzes, everything. It was kind of just, hopefully you were able to your course, your teaching style. Hopefully you could connect with, what you need, and then we can go from there and help you get your course set up for fall. I'm actually going to stop sharing here because I'm going to have, I should have told David this. I'm going to have David take over because he has a Canvas course, and I'll have him connect his mastering with Canvas. And if you want, you can go through this process with us as well, and we can make sure to have your book correctly synced up. Would that be helpful?
Yeah. Corey, can I interrupt for a sec?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that would be really helpful. But is there also a way for us to confirm whether we did it correctly? Because I thought I did it for my 131 class, and I'm not so sure I did.
Yeah, I think when David goes through this with us, we should be able to see what it's going to look like. And then we can always go in through mastering. And here, I'll show you. Oh, I can't show you. Oh, darn. So let me go back. This may not be helpful, but I'll try to explain it. So,
I can show Corey
so these are all of my different. Oh yeah, okay. Are you going to show that icon?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, sorry, Yasmin. You'll want to see David's screen. He has courses linked, so there's an icon you'll see that'll let you know. David, if you need me to give you sharing permission, you should have it. But
yep, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, my screen's loading. So I apologize. I have way too many courses from kind of everything, so it takes forever for my stuff to load. But once you've gone through, which we'll walk through this Canvas process of actually setting it up. But once you do that, then when you actually log in just to your Pearson account, you'll be able to see all of your courses that you've created. And for the ones that you link with Canvas, you'll see this little link icon up here that says paired with LMS, and then a course ID. The course ID the students don't need, but you just want to make sure you see that little chain link. And if you actually click on the details, it should say that it's paired with LMS. In this case, it's Canvas here for it. And if you're not seeing that, just let us know. We can take a deeper look to see what's going on with it.
Sorry, David.
Yeah.
Can you go back over that? I was looking at my own screen and not looking at your screen. And I don't.
Sorry, yeah.
I don't see the little link, the chain link. I just see Jessa and then the number.
Okay. So that would mean it's not paired with,
Okay.
It's not paired with Canvas then.
Okay.
So we can walk through, and the way it works is when you pair it with Canvas, you either pair it with a brand new course, or it makes a copy of one of your existing. So if you already have a course that you've been using, all it does is it makes a copy of that one to pair with. So then it's got everything in there that you had already been working on for it.
And can you double check the next thing that you clicked on? Because I missed that.
Oh, the details icon, the little.
I'll check that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you see that, it should say, if it's paired with something, it'll say paired with LMS,
Sure.
and then what the LMS is.
Well, I'll check that. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so to actually set up and do the pairing process, you have to have your course. I just have a generic course here. On your left-hand side here, down at the bottom, you'll see the settings.
Mhm.
Now, once you click on that, you'll want to go to the navigation tab. I'll pause for a second here while I make sure everybody's loading up with us. And once you're on the navigation tab, then you'll see all of those same links you have on the left-hand side should be at the top of your page. down here at the bottom is where you have anything that's been loaded in on your version of Canvas at Miami. So you'll have a lot more than me, but you'll want to find the one that says MyLab and Mastering.
Mhm.
And then all you do is actually just click it, hold it, and drag it up to wherever you want it to appear on your course menu. And then once you've done that, you just want to make sure you scroll back down to the bottom and click Save. That's the one piece I always forget. And then it should appear on that left-hand side. So those that are following along and doing it with us, is everybody to that point, or do I need to pause for a second?
Oh, fine.
Good. Okay, so then once that's there on your left-hand side, you're going to hit click on the MyLab and Mastering link. And it's going to take you to your kind of landing page here. And the first thing you want to click is that Get Started. Now, since I've done this before, mine's going to kind of skip a step. If you've never done this crossover before, or if your students haven't done this before, the first thing it'll do is ask for your Pearson login information. So it'll ask you to either create or sign into your account. It should be a sign into account for you as an instructor. If you need that information, I think Corey can send that to you as well. But after you do that one time, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, just let me know. You can either chat me, or we can even do it like a separate breakout room if you need your username.
So after you do this first time, it'll automatically create an association between your Canvas and Pearson account. So it'll recognize you. So that's where that single sign-on comes in. So it's just like for your students, that first time they cross over, they'll have to put in their credentials or create a new account. But then from there on, it's just single sign-on for them as well. So here's the part then, once we do this, for the Gen Chem course, we want to make sure that we search the ISBN that Corey mentioned that's in the chat. Because if you just search Brown LeMay, it's going to pull up our national course, which is going to be a different pricing than what we want your students to use. So in this case, I'm going to hit 130-137-279-736, and then click on search. And you should see a course come up just like this. I'll pause and give that a second for anybody that's following along as well.
David or Corey, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Is that ISBN number going to be the same for the courses that will be in the spring semester as well?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And you'll see here, if I go back, the other option you have is you can select from existing course lists. So once you have this created this first time, Yasmin, for your like 131 for your other course, if you've already had one running, you can hit this select from existing course lists, and it'll bring up all of your other Mastering Chemistry courses that you have in your account, and you can choose the one that was, you should for that course. So it's really only this first time setup that you need to make sure you have this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit select then, once I have the correct course. Once we're here, we want to make sure we set this as a student use course. Since we're pairing this with Canvas, we want students to actually be able to enroll in it. So I want to make sure I set it as student use. The course name you have to fill in. This is what appears across that top bar in the Mastering Chemistry course when the students are actually signed in. So most of the time people, will put, oh my gosh, I almost forgot the course, 1411. Section number and like the day they meet or whatever it may be, just to identify it.
Yeah, I do also suggest putting in fall 20 for the most part.
Oh, thank you.
Just so that, who knows, or 5 semesters from now, if you want to, if you really like the way you did in fall 20 rather than fall 21, you can go back and, you'll have record of that. It's just a nice reminder.
Thank you, Corey. The description, you can put something in here if you'd like to. You don't have to. The course dates, when you get to this part, this is also very important. You want to make sure that you set the start date as the day you're actually making the course. So in this case, August 10th. And then the end date, I always recommend to go a little bit past the actual end of the semester, just in case you have students that are, maybe filling out or working on an incomplete or something like that. You want to make sure they have access to assignments afterwards. This last part where it says instructors can copy this course, I always recommend checking that just because it's easier to do it now than to have to go back in and do it later. The only way another person can copy your course is if you give them that course ID, which is your last name and then 5 or 6 digits. And so they can't actually do it unless you give them the ID anyways, but it's just easier to kind of check that now. So once you have that information filled in, then you just click on Create Course. And it'll let you know that it's starting to create. Now it says it may take up to 3 hours. Usually I did one earlier today, and this is kind of, getting into the busiest season. It took maybe about 5 to 10 minutes earlier. Usually it's within a couple minutes. Are there any questions so far?
So this basically will allow students to go from Canvas to Mastering Chemistry. That's basically what this is for?
Correct. So
Can
then
they-
let me, yep,
can
go
they-
ahead.
Can they still access Mastering Chemistry separately, not from Canvas, if they want to?
Yes. So the first time they go through, they have to go through Canvas so that it pairs the 2 accounts.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, let's say Canvas is down or there's a problem with UMiami instance of Canvas. They can just go to Pearson MyLab or Pearson MyLab and Mastering and sign in there with their same credentials, and they'll see their course listed there. They can get in that way as well. So good question. So this one, I created a second one that I'm going to jump to here, but once you have that done, it says it's creating it. If you just kind of refresh this page, this getting started will change to it'll say Open MyLab and Mastering link. So I'm going to jump to one of my other courses I paired earlier today, just so we don't have to sit here and wait on this.
Yeah, I am going to jump in here while you're moving over, just to kind of just mention. So the biggest feature, the primary feature is the ability to do like a single sign-on to Mastering. So you and students will both be able to jump right into Mastering without having to sign in every time. That is a huge convenience thing for students, and I think that they appreciate that. But beyond that, it also gives the Canvas and Mastering the ability to grade sync. So all of your grades and assignments that you're making and Mastering will automatically sync into Canvas. And then it also gives you the ability to, if you're creating, let's say, weekly modules for students to do, you can pull in those weekly assignments for them from Mastering, so that they don't have to navigate to Mastering, assignments, calendar, and go in that way. They'll have a direct link from Canvas. So those features are really easy to do, but it also, this integration allows that to happen.
You read my mind, Corey. That's right where I was
sorry.
going next. So, no, that's perfect. So this is a course, like I said, a course that I did earlier, just so it would be ready for us. So you can see I have that Open MyLab and Mastering link. So if I click that, it's going to take me into that full course as the instructor. And this is actually a copy of, I believe, the one Corey had earlier. So it should look kind of familiar to us. So it takes us into that full course without prompting for any sign-on. The other couple things here I'm going to point out then. So there's the grade sync option in the middle of the screen. So if you click on that, you can choose to have the automatic grade sync turned on, which is what most instructors do. So they're not having to come in here and refresh on their own. I believe the Canvas, will pull the grades every 60 minutes. So there's something just to be aware of that I always recommend instructors kind of put in their syllabus if you are going to have that automatic grade sync so students can reference it. Because no matter how many times you say it, there's bound to be a few students who they're in the middle of an assignment. It's going to pull the grades. And so they'll finish the assignment. They have 100% in mastering, but they look at Canvas and it says 30% because they were 30% done with it when it pulled the grades. I always recommend just telling students, finish your assignment in mastering, make sure the grade looks good there, and then give it 24 hours to make sure that it corresponds with it in Canvas. So once I have that turned on, I can choose which assignments I want to sync. So in case you did have some that were practice or something like that, you didn't want to, you don't have to do that.
Hey, David.
But for yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Would you mind sending that syllabus language to everybody? I just think that might be helpful for us to have.
Yeah, no problem. We can definitely follow up with that. So your students aren't like any, or they're not much different than a lot of others. You still need to remind them of that, so that's good. So after you select which assignments you want to sync, I just hit sync grades now. And now those are set to automatically flow when Canvas pulls them every 60 minutes. So if I had more assignments created, of course, there'd be more to choose from, but these are the only ones that are in there now. If for any reason there is an issue with the grades coming over, I always like to point this out. Under that, when we click on the MyLab and Mastering, on this right-hand side where it says Help and Support, down here at the bottom right, there's this Get Diagnostics button. And what this is kind of a detailed information of what Canvas account, what Pearson account, what course you're enrolled in, kind of all that jazz that our tech team needs in case there is some issue with the grade transfer that they'll need to dive into. So it's just something I like to point out so you guys know where it's at. So in case you do run across that. And all you have to do is click this to download it as kind of a TXT file. Okay, so those are set up to sync. So the last thing I'll kind of show then is just how to add, if you wanted to add deep links. I'm not sure if anybody's going to do that or not, but I'd like to just at least give you the idea of it. So once you have the assignment synced over, you have to do that part first. Now you're able to actually add it to like a module. So let's just call this, if I could spell correct, it's a chapter 1. And then if I click the little plus icon up here in the top right, you'll see I have these kind of tools I can add in. That first one is an assignment. And I can, let's say, add in that Introduction to Mastering Chemistry assignment. And then as a student, if I were to come in here and actually click on it, what's nice about the deep linking, rather than taking me out into Pearson, it actually kind of brings the Pearson assignment right into Canvas here. So now I'm able to actually start working on this introduction assignment right from within Canvas. So again, just a nice way to get students kind of organized, have that stuff laid out for them so they're not having to jump around everywhere. And then I believe you can also, if you wanted to add, if you go to like external tool, you should be able to add in the MyLab Mastering Course Home as well. So if you wanted to add that, or the entire assignments list if you didn't want to do all of them. But I can add that here as well for students so they don't have to go back to the MyLab page. So say they wanted to go to the dynamic study modules, or if they wanted to go to the e-text, they can click on that and get there then as well. So are there any questions over the integration part? It's, as long as you go through the steps in order, it's pretty simple. Again, I think the biggest thing is just waiting for it to actually get updated in the course so that it's ready to go. But if there's any questions, please.
Yeah, I have a question about muting. Do we need to, if we want to mute, is it possible to mute the score on Canvas for a mastering assignment?
As in not sync the grades over? Is that what you mean?
No, so they don't see this until I unmute this. I manually allow this, well, so they can see their scores, but I don't want them to see them prematurely. So there's a possibility on Canvas where you can mute scores, then you can unmute them.
That I don't know for sure. Is Jen still on? I'm not sure if Jen knows the answer to that one. I don't know the ins and outs with the actual Canvas functionality and how that affects it. So that I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I can write down, see if I can find information on that though.
Corey, this is Chuck Degenhardt. I have a question for you. I think earlier this summer, maybe you sent me directions for setting up my course through Canvas, and I do not remember anything about this ISBN number. So I think I set them up without that number. How can I redo that or correct it?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Yes, I can definitely, it's easy to do. So if you go to that MyLab, and maybe I think I'm going to see if David will walk along with us, but if you can go back to that MyLab mastering link on the left-hand navigation bar.
I'm sorry, I don't know who was asking. Charles, have you created assignments and things already in the course?
Oh yeah, I've got everything set up, or I thought I did.
Okay, so what we'll want to do to make sure, so this is kind of a good learning moment for everybody with this. If I were to go in here right now and sever ties between my Canvas course and my Pearson course, it'll actually delete off that Pearson course. So since you already have everything set up, what we're going to do, we'll want to make sure that we make a copy of that course just in your Pearson account first to make sure we don't lose it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we can, why don't we say, Corey, I don't want to take everybody's time with that, but if we can set up a time either afterwards or at the end of this, we can kind of go through that part with Charles, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll shoot you an email right now.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions?
Corey, I think I might need to set up a separate time with you as well, and David, to try to figure out what's going on with my integration. But
okay. All right. Perfect. Yeah, we can even, and if no one else has any questions, I don't know if, I was going to email Chuck, if you guys both have time right now, I think me and David both have our calendars blocked off, so we could just split into 2 breakout rooms. But, assuming everyone else is okay. If not, we can schedule for later today or something.
So it's okay with me.
Okay.
yeah, that works for me too.
Okay, perfect. All right. So, once we finish off, if you just want to hang on, we can get you all sorted out. So, as far as everyone else, how are you feeling? Do you have any, big questions? Do you want me to send over my availability so we can do a follow-up meeting? What can I do to help right now?
So what should we give students? Just that course number? That's the only thing that we need to give them so they can enroll in our courses?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Good question. So that's actually going to come up in the follow-up document. I'll, like I had mentioned earlier, I'm going to send out an email and I'll kind of give you like some of the syllabus language that we had talked about with Yasmin and, just some of that other stuff. So I'm sharing my screen right now so you can see. Also on the on the invitation on your calendar from today, I had set up a couple different links, I had set up a couple different attachments. One of them is that student registration instruction, so you can download it straight from there. But I will also send it again, and it's actually going to look exactly like this. But it outlines, to go through Canvas. Tells them to use their Pearson account if they have one or create a new one. I also made sure, and I think Yasmin had suggested this, so I can't take credit, but I also made sure to put in that there is a special discount. So don't go buy this on Amazon. Don't go buy this on Pearson, because Pearson's going to charge you, I don't know, way more than $55. That's part of that is us trying to honor that Miami U Books. If they did go to the bookstore, there's the access code they can use. And then for all students, they have temporary access as well. And then they're done. And once they've signed in that initial time, they'll never have to worry about that again. It'll just be automatically signed in for the rest of the semester. And then I have some helpful help links as well. But
so
yeah,
Mark,
so that's so.
I was to say to answer that question though too about that course ID, the students won't need that because it's linked with Canvas and Pearson. That's already linked. It kind of bypasses that step.
Okay. Yeah, the integration hopefully wasn't too bad for you all, but it's even easier for your students. Now that it's integrated, they just click on that yellow button that says, get started with MyLab Mastering. It'll prompt them to sign in. It'll prompt them to enter the access code, pay, or do the temp access, and then they're in. So it's not too bad. All right. Well, yeah, David had kind of mentioned it. This is just the first of many meetings for you if you are interested in seeing more of us. But yeah, shoot me an email with questions. I know a lot of this, I kind of, I'm trying to squeeze everything that I know about mastering into under 2 hours, which I'm happy we were able to do for you all. But yeah, just let us know. Once you dig in, I'm sure you'll have questions, and I'm happy to help. Jen Donnelly's on this call. I'd mentioned her name earlier. She is just an amazing resource and is so smart about a lot of these Canvas questions that, I don't know. And but yeah, so we're here to help, I guess. And I hope you all have a great day. You have my email, my cell phone number, and I'll send out an email with some of the things we had talked about today. But yeah, and then if Chuck and Yasmin don't mind holding on, maybe we'll just split into 2 breakout rooms and figure that out.
All right. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.